Today we're going to take a quick look at the Parrot Jumping Sumo. If you haven't seen it already, I did the unboxing and the initial setup of this thing last week, so go check that video out first. But basically, this is a two-wheeled, smartphone-controlled little speed demon. I've used this thing two ways at this point, and they're drastically different experiences. As my unboxing video showed, I started out using it with the Shield Portable, and the whole interface maps really nicely to the controller. So you use the left stick to move forward and back, the right stick to spin around, and then the buttons to jump, spin around, and turn itself over. The other method, which most people would probably be using with this, is with a smartphone. The app works kind of the same way as it does on the Shield. You use your thumb to go forward and back, but you turn the device left and right to actually steer. And it'll only turn when you're moving forward and backward, which means that it doesn't spin quite as quickly as it does with the Shield. There are also buttons on the screen to spin at 90 or 180 degrees, and buttons for recording, taking pictures, jumping, and turning the device over. Now, what I really liked about controlling it with the phone was that I could hold it with one hand, with my left thumb on the screen, and make it drive, and then tilt it around kind of like a steering wheel, so I could drive with one hand while I filmed it with the other hand. Definitely can't do that with the Shield. You've got to have both fingers on the sticks at the same time. Deeper down in the app on both devices, you can control the max speed, the max turning speed, the voice that it uses, the Wi-Fi settings, just a ton of different things. So you can really fine-tune your experience if it's a little too wild for you out of the box. You can also program in a plan of movements and have the Sumo do that at the push of a button, but I think that removes pretty much all the fun, so I didn't really use that much. And when you're controlling the Jumping Sumo, the app shows you a first-person view of what it sees through its front-facing 640 by 480 camera. I tried driving this around using FPV quite a few times, and as long as I kept the speed kinda low, I did alright. Otherwise, I would end up hitting walls and chairs and whatever else pretty frequently. And once I got a little bit farther away, the Wi-Fi signal would start to cut out a bit, so the video would lag or stop, and that is not a great experience for FPV. So it's a neat feature, but it's not something that I'd rely upon 100%. To go along with that camera, you can also store photos to the device's internal memory, which there's not a whole lot of it, but it's there. And if you attach a micro USB drive, like this little teeny Kingston one that I picked up on Amazon for $5 that's USB with a micro USB on the other end, you can record video to the device just by using this while you're driving. I'll just go ahead and state the obvious though. It's 640 by 480, so it's not gonna be great. The video worked pretty well indoors, although it actually looks like it's running in fast motion when you play it back. Outdoors, for some reason, it got jumpy and it cut out a lot. It might be the flash drive I was using. It might be that it was so hot outside, it was 90 degrees or something. I would assume it has something to do with that little micro USB connection and the Sumo bouncing around over rocks and cracks in the road. But you do not buy this thing for the camera. You buy it because it's fun to drive around. It can do spins and cool jumps and things. I put this thing in my son's hand on day one, and he was able to pick it up and learn to drive it very quickly. So I pulled out the Kumba Cam and the Galaxy S6, and I captured some ultra-stable footage of his first time with it. As you can see, it zooms along the pavement quite nicely, it spins like a top when you tell it to, and it can get some pretty nice distance since it's 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi controlled. I did avoid jumping with it while I was on the street because I really didn't want to damage the foam wheels, but I think it probably would have been just fine. Instead, when we jumped off the back steps into the grass, and then my son had me jump it up onto the couch a couple of times. We ran this thing through the gamut though. We tested it on carpet, hardwood, tile, concrete, asphalt, and grass, and here's how it turned out. Softer surfaces, not so great. It's got little foam wheels. It's not going to do amazingly well. It worked on our medium thickness carpet, but it wasn't as fast as it was on hardwood. It would not run at all in the grass, but on the hardwood, on tile, asphalt, and concrete, it drove just fine. Basically, the smoother and flatter the surface, the better it did. But even on my uphill concrete driveway, it was eventually able to make the climb and drive just fine up it. Now by default, it does come in the mode that you've seen it in so far, with these wheels extended. But you can also push the wheels in, kind of like that, to have them closer, which is supposed to make it a little bit more agile. I do not recommend driving it that way, as when I tried it, it just ended up falling over more often than it actually went forward. Luckily, it is pretty good about righting itself, but then as soon as it would start going again, it would just fall over again, so I very quickly had to go back to just popping the wheels back out. It has an advertised battery life of 20 minutes, but then you've got to charge it for 90 minutes, so that means actually plugging directly into that micro USB port and leaving it sit for 90 minutes. I didn't closely measure the runtime on it, but it was definitely pretty close to 20 minutes. At least when you're not recording the entire time. In my case, Parrot included a spare battery, so I was able to quickly swap out and just keep right on going, but unfortunately, the only way that I've got to charge these batteries is, again, by sticking them back in the Sumo and plugging in the USB cable, which means when I run both the batteries down, I've got to wait 3 hours until it can be used again with both batteries. Luckily, there are multi-port chargers for these batteries available on Amazon for a very reasonable price, and I'll link to those down in the video description, so you can charge the batteries outside of the Sumo, which seems like it would be really convenient. I have not tested any of them though, so I can't vouch for them. I'm just putting that out there as an option. Also, if I ever end up with a Rolling Spider quadcopter from Parrot, they use the same batteries, which is also very convenient. So anyway, to wrap things up, my thoughts on the Parrot Jumping Sumo: it's an awful lot of fun. It's two vastly different experiences between the phone and the Shield, which means it will hopefully be amusing for twice as long, and since my son can drive it, it's another activity that we can do together. It's decently fast, and it's fun to have it jump up on things or jump off of things. But to get to the bottom line, the retail price on it is $99, so for that price, would I recommend it? Sorry to say, I probably wouldn't. Like I said, it is a lot of fun, but I don't know if I would say that it's $100 worth of fun. If they put some off-road tires on this thing so that it could go over grass and rocks and everything else outdoors, and maybe a higher quality camera, something 720 or 1080p, then I would definitely say that it's worth the price, but for now, maybe not. I am still having a lot of fun driving this thing around, and I'm sure my little one is going to really enjoy driving it around. I haven't had to replace this little back foot yet, but they did include a couple of spares so I can do that. Since I've been driving it around on the asphalt, it has worn down a little bit, but it's not worn down all the way to the plastic yet, so that's good. But anyway, you guys will have to let me know what you think down in the comment section. Remember, if you like this video, please do give me a thumbs up down below the video. I definitely appreciate it. And subscribe to receive more videos when they become available. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.